Chuck Yarbrough, and I want to welcome you to the 8th of May Emancipation celebration. This is I'm not sure which one it is, but the first one was done in 2006. So before we begin, I want to give all of the students from Columbus Middle and High School, MUW, and MSMS a good welcoming round of applause to start this off. And we'll start today with Columbus High School percussion. Let's hear it again for Columbus High School percussion. I failed to introduce myself. My name is Chuck Yarbrough, and I teach history at the Mississippi School for Mathematics and Science. I'd like to introduce to you Hillary Richardson to talk a little bit about the community read. So let's welcome her to the stage.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk tonight, Chuck, and for hosting what's always a great event. I'm so happy to be here. As he said, I'm Hillary Richardson. I'm the Interim Dean of Library Services at Fant Memorial Library at MUW, and I'm also a member of the Community Read Committee. I'm here tonight to announce our selection for the 2025-2026 year. But first, I want to say just a couple of things about the Community Read program. It's intended to be a community-wide reading experience that draws on our heritage of a literary town and to our commitment to the liberal arts. It develops connections among students, faculty, staff, community members. It fosters intellectual curiosity, and it broadens our understanding of our community, just like the event that we're here at tonight. And more than anything, it promotes togetherness through discussions of issues in our selection. Thank you. I want to say thank you to our community members who've contributed to this year's selection if you're here. And I want to say thank you to our community partners who have sponsored events that make up the experience. So thank you to MEW, to MSMS, to the Columbus Lowndes Public Library, to the City of Columbus, to Friendly City Books, who is selling our community read in the back over there. Hello, thank you. You can buy the community read for 10% off tonight if you want to. And thank you to this year, for the first time, the Mississippi Humanities Council for partnering with us on that. So thank you. In 2023, we shifted what was our campus common read to focus on issues that affect our larger community. An unintended consequence to our shift has led us to focus on issues within our local communities here, near, and far. This year, our selection is The Barn by Wright Thompson, which focuses on a plot of land within a 6-square-mile grid whose official name, are you ready, is Township 22 North, Range 4 West, Section 2, West Half. It's located in the Mississippi Delta near Dockery Plantation. This is a barn. The barn is where this is located, and in this barn is where Emmett Till was murdered. While Thompson addresses the facts and the myths of the circumstances of this murder, this book is mostly about the agricultural, economic, and social histories of the Mississippi Delta that created this moment, and the ripple effects that this moment has had on communities that have both left the Delta and the state of Mississippi and have continued to stay there. In this book, Wright addresses how the barn, a place that still physically exists, is an artifact also of forgetfulness. Please consider purchasing the book, as I mentioned, in the back at Friendly City, or checking it out at your local public or university library. Hint, hint. You may also grab a bookmark at the back here to get more information on discussions and events that will come up in the fall to discuss the community read and to learn more about the book. Thank you so much for letting me talk tonight.
And I'd also like to welcome to the stage a good friend of programs here in Columbus, including the Freedom Trail Marker dedication program that we had earlier today, Stuart Rockoff, who is the director of the Mississippi Humanities Council.
Thank you, Chuck. And we had a great morning dedicating the marker for Dr. Stringer. I am very grateful for you giving me a space on this program. Very, very briefly, I will say that this 8th of May program highlights to me the importance of local history, of our stories, and how telling a fuller story enriches us all. This evening, appreciate the fact that we will be learning directly from young people who have done research in public records that have been preserved and made accessible, and who have interpreted these records with the guidance of a gifted teacher. None of this happens by accident. These students will make history come alive for us, and they will show us that the best history explores the nuance and the complexity of the past. All right? It's not black and white, it's gray and complicated. About a month ago, DOGE terminated funding for all state humanities councils and for many, many projects all across the country that documented and interpreted local stories, including here in Mississippi. Tonight's event shows that programs like the 8th of May and the stories they share matter. The work supported by the Mississippi Humanities Council matters. So please, as you enjoy tonight's event, appreciate the effort that went into it. Show your support for the people and the institutions who made it possible, including MSMS, of course. And most of all, continue showing up for programs like this. Thank you.
Okay, well, it's my time to talk, and unfortunately for you, I wrote up notes to be succinct at the encouragement of people who care for me and care about themselves, and I left those notes elsewhere. So, but anyway, I want to welcome all of you here to historic Sandfield Cemetery. I also need to say some thank yous before we get this program going. the 8th of May Emancipation Celebration is a project which began in 2006, and it didn't look like this originally. I assure you, I was there. There were 35 people, and what happened is, in 2006, and in my memory, it's February 25th or maybe 26th. Renita, you're going to correct me on that, I'm sure. But February 25th or 26th, a talented high school senior at MSMS named Renita Holmes came and asked if I would help put on a Black History Month program. Well, the problem with that is it was February 25th or 26th. Of course, there's not enough time to do a program that really does justice to what the program should do for Black History Month. So we talked a little bit, and I said, there is another date in our local story, the 8th of May. And I explained to her what it was and why it was important. And I said, why don't you go back and talk with Voices in Harmony members and decide if you want to try and do something. And a week or so later, she came back and said, yeah, we want to do something. So that year, Renita changed up her Tales from the Crypt performance. A young man named Richard Pittman changed up his Tales from the Crypt performance. And a young man named Desjuan Benson created a new performance with some information we had. And the Voices in Harmony choir, MSMS students, came out and stood at this very spot on the ground, not because there's any particular significance, but because it's in the shade at this time of day in May in Mississippi. And they performed. We did 2 performances, and collectively over those 2 performances, which each lasted about 35 minutes, we had 35 people. I counted the WCBI cameraman, and I counted myself. So, it was not a momentous occasion in the sense of attendance, but it was a profound moment in the effort to kind of begin to get at a more complete history for our community. At our school, we like to talk about exploring more story, a more complete history, not only of Columbus and Lowndes County, but of Mississippi and of our nation. For too long, as I said earlier today, the history that is memorialized on our landscape is incomplete. It has been incomplete. And that has handicapped us as communities. We have been operating with less than the full story. When I went to buy my first car, my dad said, you better research them all because the salesman won't do that for you. And he was right. And I think in almost everything other than history, we expect to know as much as possible about it. And yet, for some reason, as a community, as a state, and as a nation, we have often chosen not to do that historically. So we do research projects at our school, and today you're going to see the results of that. Now, as far as thank yous are concerned, the thank yous are on the back of this list, but we couldn't do this program without participation from Columbus Municipal School District students at both the high school and the middle school. We couldn't do this program without the support of the Mississippi University for Women and today the United Harmonies Choir. We couldn't do this program without the STEP teams at MSMS that you'll see in just a little bit. We couldn't do this program without the City of Columbus and Mayor Keith Gaskin, the Columbus Parks Department and Director Greg Lewis, the Columbus Public Works Department and Director Casey Bush. We couldn't do it without Visit Columbus helping to promote what we do. We couldn't do it without Friendly City Books and Emily Liner, one of our MSMS alums. We couldn't do it today without our special guest, Reginald Dwayne Betts, who you'll hear from in just a few moments. We couldn't do it without community. And to me, there's a great metaphor and a lesson in that. We can't do anything, folks, without community. And right now, I'd like you to look at the people around you and recognize, if you don't know them, you could, because they're part of our community. And this is a great chance afterwards to say hi. I'm not talking about your wife or husband next to you or your children or your best friend who you're forced to come. I'm talking about the people you don't know. But we really are appreciative of you being here. And lastly, each year I like to, this isn't really for you older folks, okay? This is really for the younger people. We have sayings in our communities that we stand on the shoulders of those who go before us. And in academia, we like to talk about that a whole lot. In our communities, we stand on the shoulders of people who came before us. We have recognized many of those people in years past. I see Laverne Green Leach in the audience, who we've recognized in the past. I'd like to give her a round of applause. And you know, I'm a school teacher, and I reflected a lot this year on people who served as teachers in less than ideal conditions. And that made me think about somebody I learned a lot from early in my career. I didn't take a class from her. She was a teacher in someone else's classroom when our children were at Franklin Academy. And that was Marjorie Carter. And when Marjorie Carter, let's give her a round of applause. When Marjorie Carter retired after 37 years of teaching in the Columbus schools, she was the last teacher who had taught in a segregated school. And everybody in this audience, I think everybody in the city and the county and the state knows that segregated schools were separate, but they were far from equal. Equal was a fiction. And yet you had people in schools across our country, black teachers dedicated to black children, showing them love and teaching them and believing, hoping in a future that would be better than the present they were living. And that act of faith, that act of hope inspired me then. When I was just a young parent who kind of hung out every once in a while at Franklin, our kids had a good experience, and Marjorie always impressed me as this really steady person. And it wasn't until later I learned the part of the story I just shared. So I want us to all think about the shoulders that we stand on as a community that we will never meet, because I will never meet another teacher that taught in a segregated school in Columbus. I'm not likely to. And some of you never will. And yet we benefit from the world they left for us. David McCullough years and years ago said that, you know, every institution we have, everything we have was handed to us by someone else. And maybe they didn't even know they were handing it to us. Maybe they didn't even plan for us, but we benefit from it. And I want us to all give all of those teachers upon whom shoulders we stand a huge round of applause right now. Okay, I warned you I didn't have my notes so I could talk all night, but I'm going to stop shortly. Our next guest is a real special friend I got to meet 3 years ago. Reginald Dwayne Betts is our keynote speaker this evening. And Reginald is a poet, he's a lawyer, he's the founder of Freedom Reads, which is a groundbreaking institution, a first of its kind organization that is seeking to radically transform access to literature in prisons, with incarcerated people. He's an inspiration to me. His poetry is moving to our students, and we're really incredibly excited that he was willing to travel to Columbus to be with us today. So he's going to come up on stage right after another student starts the actual program. I'd like to welcome Chris Young to the stage to play the cello.
Similar occasion 158 years ago, the very first 8th of May celebration. My name is Cyrus
Green. Thank you. I may be heard. Originally, I came from Indiana to teach down in Columbus in the Freedmen's Bureau School. Then it was called the Union Academy, and would later become the first public school for black students in the area. And on May 8th, 1866, I would attend ceremonies celebrating the arrival of Union troops in Columbus, exactly 1 year prior.
That evening, I wrote in my diary, "Today was a day long to be remembered by many of the African race here. It was their first celebration in commemoration of their freedom. 1 year ago, this morning, the federal troops arrived in this place and proclaimed the slaves free. And what a celebration we had enjoyed. You see, I came down in early 1866, along with 6 other missionary teachers sent down by the Quaker Society to help build up the freedmen community in the area. I would arrive in Columbus on February 9th, 1866, and I would begin teaching at the Union Academy 2 days later. On my first day, there were only about 40, not 80 students, 40, the numbers, divided among 8 teachers. But soon, that number would grow to well over 250 in attendance. From the beginning, it was clear that the facilities needed some labor to fit up. The Union Academy was fitted out of an old warehouse that had fallen into disrepair. The quarters in which I and my fellow missionaries stayed at required days of labor just to make sure they were comfortable. And that was before we were kicked out by the local military and forced to board in the hospital building. Am I being heard? Apologies. Those of you from Mississippi ought to know that February tends to be our coldest month. Yet these students attended classes in buildings without stoves, fireplaces, any reasonable way to keep warm. Many of the windows were broken and boarded up, allowing wind and rain to seep through, making the conditions harsher for us. There were 3 programs that we taught at the Union Academy: a day school, a night school, and a Sabbath school. Now, the Sabbath school grew to astounding proportions. Well over 300 students for our meager staff. Pair that with illnesses over the term, and we could barely manage. But we did. We and our students persisted. The endurance? No. That's later. The resistance and the desire for education among the formerly enslaved inspired us, amazed us. Their endurance now had impressed me
as well. For instance, I had attended the Black Baptist Church once. A local white preacher had come in. Now, this man, he spoke some good words about the Lord. Absolutely no shame in that. But I knew this man to be one of a
particularly foul sensibility. And soon enough, he was subjecting the congregation to his belief that the African race
was better suited under slavery than freedom. There later came a former Confederate who claimed to have the gift of prophecy. His prophecy? Well, it stated
that the black people would eventually return to slavery, and that their education was pointless. As awful as these instances were, there was one that exceeded even these. A letter from an anonymous source identified only as our many enemies. Is this mine now? I swear they must get it together.
Threatened, this letter, they did, that if we were to continue teaching at the Union Academy, we would be hanged alongside our students. Despite these hardships and despite the resistance, a community was fostered at the Union Academy that built up something truly special. From a myriad of accomplishments to newfound traditions, the 8th of May celebration emerged as a symbol of it all. We teachers met up with local African Americans and together planned songs, speeches, and festivities that would celebrate the emancipation that occurred 1 year before. A celebration that would last the entire day, truly showcasing the happiness and inspiration the community had found within each other. Again, in my diary, I write. Just had to complicate things for me, did you? The grand display and crowning success of the day was the May party at the night and the supper. I will only say here
that it was a splendid success. The supper table was covered with not only the whitest linen, but an enigmatic profusion of cakes, meats, candies, and blended tastefully with flowers, leaves, and every conceivable beauty culled from nature's great laboratory. To crown all, everything passed off smoothly, and although there was rain falling profusely outside, the performers were often cheered by loud claps of thunder, as though the heavens, too, were in ecstasy. I will forever be inspired by these people for their ability to find happiness, their bravery, and their ability to find courage for brighter days despite their dark past. Today, we continue a celebration that they began.
When I first met Chuck, one of the things that most impressed me was that he was teaching high school students to imagine that their communities mattered just as much as anything else. I come from a place, Prince George's County, Maryland, and a school system, any school system in America, that is bent on telling you that what matters most is not where you're from, not the people that make up the community where you live, but the places where you might go. I mean, I spent most of my childhood imagining that the most important thing for me to do was to get away. And I think what's profoundly important about a day like this is that it's reminding people that one of the most important things you can do is stay at home. Now, I'm gonna say two things about myself and then I'm gonna read a couple of poems. First, somebody cut my cell phone off. I'm often asked to introduce myself, and I lead with the fact that I went to prison at 16 years old. And I bristle at making that statement, especially in a place like this, but the reality is I did go to prison at 16 years old. And the reality is I remember when I was a young child, they expected me to land in prison. And that I did land in prison is partly because I came out of a community that didn't understand what it might mean to create more of me than a state number. And I look at these young people here today and I know that some of y'all are older than I was when I got my state number. I think about the fact that a program like this just did not exist in my community. I see a wealth of skill here today. Young folks doing things that I could not have imagined doing when I was your age, nor can I imagine doing now. Although I'm gonna be real, I took a video of y'all on the drums, and I am gonna pretend like it was me later on tonight. I'm gonna share a couple poems with you, but I wanna tell you something. Somebody asked me today, when did I decide to be a writer? See, I confessed to carjacking a man at gunpoint. And I was sentenced to 9 years in prison after making that confession, after pleading guilty. My mother was in the audience, right? And nobody from my community showed up to witness what would happen to me. Nobody in my community protested because they knew that I was guilty. And this is the thing that I knew, and I want every young person here to hear this. See, I knew that they had already claimed me to be a convict because I had confessed to carjacking a man at gunpoint. And I knew that my mother, she didn't even get on the stage to beg for my freedom because my mother said, I'm going to give you the dignity to prove that you are more than this moment. I am not going to get on the stage and weep for you in front of people who will do nothing with my tears. And so when they took me back to the holding cell, because something is wrong with my brain, right? When they took me back to the holding cell, I was supposed to be worried about my survival. But I went back in the cell and I thought, what will I be when I leave prison? I had 9 years. I hadn't won a fight since I was in the 2nd grade. I was smaller than every child here. And I said, what will I be when I leave this place? I I told myself that I would be a writer. Now, before then, the only thing I was really good at in school was math. I was going to be an engineer. But I told myself I would be a writer with no expectation that it could be possible, with no understanding what it actually meant. And today, I stand before you. I got a degree from Yale Law School, the best law school in the country. I am the father of 2 beautiful sons. My youngest said to me before I left, he called me. He said, you know you the GOAT at this daddy thing. And this is a kid who has seen me go through the hardest 2 years of my life. Which is to say, sometimes the thing that young people can do is to remind those around them who are older, who sometimes carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, that the way they show up for you matters. It matters that you say that to your mothers, to your uncles, to your cousins, to your fathers. It matters that you say that to your teachers, because sometimes it's difficult. But I have also coached basketball in my community for 8 years straight. Y'all should clap for that, because I was at least better than Phil Jackson. And I published 6 books. I won 2 NAACP Image Awards. I have traveled the world because of what I write on a page. And it all happened because I committed to doing it in a cell when there was nobody to listen to my dreams or witness my nightmares. Like today, you get to decide what you will be a decade from now. You get to decide what you will be in this life that is completely yours. And you get to decide that no matter what somebody has said about you. I read you 2 poems that I care about. The first is about what it means to be forgiven, because who hasn't needed to be forgiven? And as long as you are not in a grave, you can still be forgiven. And even if you are, somebody could forgive you. You might just not know it. That was a bad joke, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? It's like, it's real though, you know. All right. Too bad the only suffering ain't weeping. In a world where every touch hurts someone, the intimacy of a blade is worse, a kind of clarion and haunting. And who hasn't needed to be forgiven? I was wailing in public is what I mean, my right hand broken by believing it could fly through a door, and the rest of me out of sorts from all that's been lost. Those understand the survival against the last stand. Those understand the survival as a last stand against the noose. Wondered if we never or always get what we deserve. Alalua means priest. And who among us has not needed a person close enough to violence to rejoice at the ways mercy is sometimes our only gift? It's like the robins, or at least I want it to be like them. Slow building a nest a few twigs at a time. Certain they'll sleep in a nesting box they make until they don't. And still being unbothered by how this work of twigs and straw makes them vulnerable enough to hesitate before flying from wooden fence to just behind the front bush. We're all hiding where everyone can see us, might be the point. And my broken hand was his own weeping way of asking a crowd of strangers if I might be forgiven. All right, one more poem. It's called On Joy. I feel like this is a joyous day, and we think about history. And we think about the ways in which we've suffered and struggled to get past that suffering. And sometimes we forget that many of us were joyous through it all. Like the story of Black history is not one that is just riddled with sorrow. It is one that is replete with joy. I mean, they were singing while they marched, and they were often singing while they wept. On joy, you asked me how I'm doing, and I realized there is not enough time to answer my phone on some days. That's not a part of the poem. That was just... And I really tried not to do it. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. You asked me how I'm doing. And I realized there are not enough words for joy in this language. Not like in German, where a man can whisper a phrase for relief that roughly translates to, "It felt like a stone falling from my heart." The gods must know the things I've wanted in this world. In prison, a letter is called a kite, as if words alone can gift the man wings. And I want to tell you that my body is a kite swept into the wind. To say some days my heart is the wildest, hungriest thing I know. Whatever about choices. Follow me now, the erratic thing that knocks against my rib cage says, and I have. Everywhere. Off cliffs and cities whose names I cannot pronounce. Back into prisons. To walk in Alec in a park with Debbie, to my son's basketball games, to weeping, and to down on my knees. To something I've never actually called joy, but just might be. That remembering of all the things I believe needed letting go, only to learn the raft on which I ride into my todays was built with them. Thank you.
Let's hear it again for Dwayne Betts, everybody.
Thank you so much for having us today. This is the CMSD combined choirs. This is both Columbus Middle School's choir and Columbus High School's choir. The first song we're going to perform for you today is Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Round, followed by a rendition of Revelation 1901. Thank you, Revelation 19:1. Thank you so much for having us.
and glory, honor and power unto the Lord our God. For the Lord our God is mighty. Yes, the Lord our God is omnipotent. The Lord our God, He is wonderful. Hallelujah! Salvation and glory, honor and power unto the Lord our God. For the Lord our God is mighty. Yes, the Lord our God is omnipotent. The Lord our God, He is wonderful. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Salvation,
And glory,
honor and power.
honor and power unto the Lord our God.
For the Lord our God,
For the Lord our God is mighty.
yes, the Lord,
The Lord our God is
the
omnipotent.
Lord our God,
The Lord our God
He is.
is wonderful.
Sing hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Salvation and glory,
Honor and power unto. For the Lord our God is mighty.
Lord our God is mighty.
Yes, the Lord our God is omnipotent. The Lord
Is wonderful. All praises to the King of Kings and the Lord our
evening, good people of Columbus. My name is A.B. Bayless, and not to brag, I cut the best hair in Columbus. My shop resides in what we call Gleeds Corner. The southwest corner of 2nd Avenue North crosses 5th Street North, cat-a-corner to the courthouse.
How y'all doing, Columbus? Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Theodric V. James, a proud graduate of Mayhew Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee, and the first black doctor of Columbus, Mississippi.
See, in 1912, when Doc established his office there, it was the center of black economic, political, and social activity. It was named for Senator Robert Lee. He was born in Virginia, but ended up in this area, escaping slavery.
He was captured right here around the time of the Civil War and auctioned back off into slavery because he refused to believe that any man owned him. Shortly after the war was won, he regained his freedom and established something so great the city of Columbus just couldn't forget it.
But Doc, don't you ever get tired of these people in Columbus? You know, always arguing with someone's mama about some home remedies.
You joke, but Sister Susan just told me she put onion skins in her socks to cure the flu. Says she don't need no doctor when the Lord already gave us vegetables.
Onion skins? Curing sickness with that easy. I'd be cutting hair with collard beans instead of clippers. Meanwhile, we're just working hard to support our community. But there's still plenty of folks uncomfortable with seeing a black man make his own way in this world.
Now, ain't that funny? You see, they don't want to let us leave here, but they don't want to let us be successful either. See, I was the first black man in Columbus to own a car, a Model T. But I couldn't even drive my Ford to work because they said it was too uppity.
That's why we got to keep pushing, Doc. Ain't just about us, it's about them little ones. They need to see us standing tall, making our own. Schools, businesses, hospitals, whole communities.
You'd actually be good at politics, A.B. Of course, after Mississippi passed the new state constitution in 1890, many of us black people weren't allowed to partake in politics. You see, we made up majority of the state and county population, but poll taxes, literacy tests, and violence kept over 90% of eligible blacks from registering to vote. Now, you see, this is important because around the same time after the Civil War, 70% of this county was black. And who wouldn't want to make a change in their community? See, we had power and influence, and that's what really scared them Democrats.
You know what my granddaddy used to say? When a white man get desperate, a black man best get ready. He would remember torchlight columns lying through the county to intimidate us black men.
On the eve of the 1875 election, white Democrats attacked local blacks, shooting and killing 4 black men. The next day, black people were scared to vote, and the white minority won the election. Of course, Senator Glee testified against this in Congress, but wasn't no real help coming from no federal government.
Glee's Corner helped us stay together, though. Fraternal groups met there, business plans were made, and networks were supported.
You know, maybe one day we'll have churches organizing, folks registering to vote, even one of our own in office. Change ain't gonna come overnight, but it ain't gonna come at all if we don't start.
That's why we became Republican Party delegates. I was selected as a delegate to attend the Republican Convention in Aberdeen in March of 1904.
You see, we wanted what was best for our community. So me and 4 other gentlemen established the Columbus Cemetery and Investment Group, where we could buy, own, sell, lease, rent, or otherwise dispose of real estate for black folks.
We knew the potential of black people in Lowndes County, since we had been the majority population here since the 1830s. We had contributed to the majority of the growth and success Columbus enjoyed in the past, and we knew we could contribute to the growth and success of the future.
See, some wanted us to quit. Stop organizing, stop voting, stop pushing.
But that's not how this works.
No, it ain't. And we gotta be smart and strong together.
So go out there and get in the polls.
Make a change before it's too late.
Don't let our efforts go to waste.
Because all we wanted to see was difference in our communities.
That's what Glee's Corner was all about.
And that's what all of you need to be about.
Better go vote.
Violetta Clark Baker, and a lot of my contributions were in the shadows. I must be honest, during my living years, I never called Columbus my home, but I was married to someone who had the opportunity to. My husband is Henry Edwin Baker Jr., part of the first graduating class of Howard Law School and born enslaved in Columbus, Mississippi. He received his early education at the local Union Academy, and I hear through the grapevine he is having a state historical marker put up soon. We both lived in D.C. and worked government positions. Henry was a patent examiner, the highest-ranked black patent examiner at that. I worked in the Library of Congress as a librarian, one of only 23 black employees there in 1910. In 1904, I worked as an assistant in the catalog division, making a whopping $540 a year. Before then, I taught shorthand and typing at Howard University. I wasn't born in D.C., I was born in Canada. My father was Louis Gerard Clark, a freed slave and abolitionist from Kentucky who eventually fled to Canada. He wrote the book, The Narrative of the Sufferings of Louis Clark. And he is most well known for inspiring the character of George Harris from Uncle Tom's Cabin, which I must say I am very proud of. I wasn't featured in the papers very often, but I was in the circles of those who were. Women such as Ida Gibbs Hunt, the co-founder of the first YWCA in D.C. and leader of the early Pan-African movement, Coralie Franklin Cook, a well-known suffragette of the era and one of the first honorary members of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and Mary Church Terrell, one of the founding members of the NAACP. When I was featured in the papers, I was referred to as Mrs. H.E. Baker, not Mrs. Violetta C. Baker. In my day, it was not uncommon for women to be referred to by their husbands' names. They took our identities and packaged them as accessories to our husbands. I often hear people say, everyone wants to be the leader, everyone wants to be the face of change, and I understand there is power in being the one people look to, and being the one who stands in front of the crowd and speaks loudly for justice. But who they don't see, and who history sometimes overlooks, are the foot soldiers, those whose names aren't in the papers, who don't get monuments in their memory, who don't get state historical markers built in their honor. I myself was a foot soldier, and I take no shame in that because what they do not tell you is that there is no movement without the foot soldiers. It is people like me, and perhaps people like you, who keep the gears turning, who make sure the work gets done even when the light isn't shining on them. Take, for example, my husband. Henry is remembered for his brilliant work as a patent examiner and recorder of black excellence. But do you think he started his journey on his own? There were countless people behind him, supporting him, helping him, encouraging him, even when the world told him no. There was a community of us, each of us doing our part. Henry was in the papers, but I was there too, documenting history, recording stories that would later be written in books. I helped preserve our people's voices, our struggles, our victories to pass on to the next generation. People like me, and perhaps people like you, are steady and constant, and our work is important. I died December 23rd, 1923. Henry outlived me, but not by much. He died in 1928. We didn't have any children, but our work lives on today. So if you ever feel like the role you play is too small, like the work you do isn't significant because it's not in the spotlight, remember, there is no movement without the foot soldiers. It is people like us who lay the path for the next steps forward. And that, friends, is just as important as anything else.
High School. My name is Ira C. Lanier, president of class of 1958. Now, y'all are like an interesting group, so let me tell you a little bit about our amazing school. You see, R.E. Hunt Senior High School opened September 1953 and was named after our amazing principal, Professor Robert Edward Hunt. You see, Professor Hunt was born November 22nd, 1897. He had a passion for teaching, so he traveled across all of North Mississippi, educating and teaching young minds like me. You see, before becoming the principal of R.E. Hunt Senior High School, he was the principal for a long time at Union Academy. Union Academy was the first public school for African Americans in Columbus. Was the first public school for African Americans in Columbus. In the late 1800s, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that schools could be separate if they were of equal quality. Separate but equal was allowed under the U.S. Constitution. Now you know like I know that they were indeed separate, but they were far, and I mean far, from equal. After World War II, Americans began to recognize the hypocrisy of fighting against Nazi racial theory, but supporting racial segregation and injustice at home. President Harry Truman ordered U.S. Armed Forces to desegregate starting in 1948. And the NAACP brought lawsuits against segregated schools in 5 different states. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that segregated schools in Oklahoma and Texas could not be separate if they were not equal. You see, this ruling caused Southern politicians to start to scramble to create schools that were separate and could actually be considered equal. You see, R.E. Hunt Senior High School was built in effort to make separate seem equal. You see, in Columbus in the 1940s, we were only spending a fraction per black student compared to the $175 we were spending per white student. But you see, we were proud of our new school. We had better resources, a better student-to-teacher ratio. We had indoor toilets, and most importantly, we had central heating. Do you hear me? I said we had central heating. However, we still lack resources compared to the segregated white schools in our town. You see, we weren't the only new school in town. In the same year that R.E. Hunt Senior High School was built, a new S.D. Lee High was built. You see, they enrolled 32 fewer students than the 713 students we enrolled. They even only taught grades 9 through 12, while we taught grades 7 through 12. However, they were given 17 acres of land, while we were just given 10. And then to make matters even worse, we had to walk to school every single day, while they received city buses. Now, I want you to imagine having a classmate that had to walk to work at 4:30 in the morning, then to school at 8 in the morning, then having to go back to work at 4:30. You see, we endured hardships, trials, and tribulations. But despite all of that, we made a way out of no way. Because we recognize that it takes unity and a strong community to overcome these challenges. So as I leave here today, I want you to look to the person to your right, and then look to the person to your left. And then recognize that it takes us coming together in order to be the change that we want to see. You see, it's not the task of just the white man, or not the task of just the black man, or not just the task of old people, and not just the task of young people. But it's a task
ask of the citizens of Columbus to come together for the change that we want to see and the betterment of this community, seeking positive change. Thank you.
Lift Every Voice Is Seen, sometimes referred to as the African American National Anthem, was performed first as a poem for Lincoln's birthday in 1900 at the Stanton School in Jacksonville, Florida. Stanton School principal James Weldon Johnson wrote the words to introduce honored guest Booker T. Washington. The poem was later set to music by Johnson's brother John. Please rise and join us in singing the first verse of Lift Every Voice Is Sing, led by MSMS alum Renita Holmes Quincy. The lyrics are in the program insert. Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope of the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, to coming to the 8th of May Emancipation Celebration. If all the participants could stay up here real quick, we're going to take a group photograph. And everybody out there, please give these young people a huge round of applause.